Alrighty, party people, it is time to tell the future. It is time to look out into the great unknown and make sense of it. Will 2026 be a good market, real estate market that is, to buy and sell homes in DFW? Because this is not, Courtney, this is not a show about other markets. This is a DFW real estate show. We talk a lot about desirable neighborhoods and homes on land, but only right here in DFW.
I love that.
I'm glad that you...
We specialize.
Believe it. Will 2026 be a good year? Will it be a good market in 2026 to buy and sell homes? We're going to give you 5 reasons that we think it can be. I'm not going to say it will be for everybody. We're going to give you 5 reasons it could be a great time to buy and sell. You can decide if you fit these categories, these criterion. If you pluralize criteria, I believe it's criterion.
Oh, interesting. Not criteria.
Ooh, definitely not that. How about data? What's the plural of data and what's the singular? Which one's datum?
I would...
Criterion is the plural of criteria.
Thank you for supporting me on that. Also, I believe data is the plural and datum is the singular, but I'm way less sure about that. No doubt Ian will check that on me. Okay, we're going to get into the 5 reasons that we believe 2026 could very, very well be, and for a lot of people should be when you make the move to buy and sell.
Datum single.
Yeah.
Datum.
Yes. 2 for 2. Batting 1,000. Only 2 at bats, though. You know, let's not get cocky. Okay, but here's what I'm saying. For a lot of people, 2026 will be better than 2025, but we're going to explain the nuance of, for some people, it might not be. And for a lot of people, it really should be, but you could make or break this yourself. So we're going to get into that for sure. And then, Courtney, I know you're a little bit fired up because we get to brag about the podcast a wee bit, but we're going to share with the good folks who are watching, who are listening, who are tuning in live, or maybe you're catching a podcast episode here, about, you want to tell them?
We're going to tell them about the top podcast episodes?
Yeah, from this year. She looks so excited, Ian, and then when I I laid the softball on the tee and handed her like a really
my
small
ear
bat.
was itching, and I just
she didn't even
blacked out for a
You're
second.
batting 2 for 2. She's 0 for 1. She's 0 for 1 from a T-ball stand.
That's pretty typical, I guess. Okay, listen, our top podcast episodes of the year were, number 1, daylight savings.
Okay, don't go into too much detail on the other ones yet.
Like, we're not there quite
Let's
yet.
pause. Hold on. No, you do what you do. You're the queen of the pod, the digital producer. But here's what I want to say. Why in the world would anybody do a podcast about daylight savings, especially a real estate podcast? Ian, what do you think?
Super fun topic.
Yeah.
It affects real estate.
That's the truth.
More than you know.
Ian's not feeling 100% today. He's playing hurt. He came out of the dugout anyway, so we're proud of him.
Flu game.
Flu game.
No flu.
Could imagine if this was your flu game.
No flu, though.
I expect it. Yeah, if it was the flu, he wouldn't be here. But we did a podcast, and the title, if you go wherever you get podcasts, you just go look up DFW Real Estate with Todd Tremonti, and you'll find the podcast. We do have one other podcast that's for real estate agents. It's part of our coaching business. That one's called Commissioned. You will definitely know the difference. So if you're a local DFW home buyer, homeowner, seller, investor, renter that's thinking about owning, whatever, you'll just look up DFW Real Estate Weekly with Todd Tremonti. If you get any big chunk of that, you'll find it. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get them. This one is titled, I think this is the title, Daylight Savings is Happening This Weekend and Affects Real Estate More Than You Know. We always do easy to understand topics. Okay, but to Courtney's point, this is one of the things that historically we haven't really talked a lot about because it's kind of been one of our aces in the hole, our little secret weapon, because sadly, embarrassingly, our industry doesn't talk about this. But you hear about this wild seasonality in the market of like, oh, most homes sell spring and summer when it's light later. And then home sales really dip hard during late fall and winter when it's dark earlier. I kid you not. I think a massive percentage of the seasonal changes is simply due to that. I kid you not. I would put more than half of the, whatever you would say, like, okay, the market shifts 30%. Well, I would say of that 30%, at least 15% or 50% of the change is just because it's dark earlier. You get off of work and you're like, I'm not going to look at houses. It's dark.
Right.
My day's over. I got stuff to do.
And you're not feeling
I can't
the vibe.
see the house.
Yeah.
Right? That alone is
the energy
difference.
is gloomy.
The days are shorter. So it's not like you can just make up for it by going earlier, but also nobody wants you to see their house at 7 a.m. Right? So I'm not joking. That alone. Now, go check out the podcast because we talk about a ton of other stuff that daylight savings impacts. Real estate agents, career, lending, title, transactional volume, pricing. Maybe there's some information there about getting a good deal. Go check that out. Wherever you check out podcasts, DFW Real Estate Weekly, and make sure you hunt down, maybe download and save our daylight savings episode. Which other one did you think was more popular this year?
Is building a house a good choice?
Is that the one where we interviewed Adam?
Yes.
Yeah, so we had my builder, the architect and custom builder that built my home that happens to be a good friend of mine now. Well, we were friends before, but we're better friends now. And we just literally interviewed him right here on the radio show, but we made that a podcast episode. And I think there's some bonus content. I don't want to oversell that, but I think there's more there than was live on air. And we literally just said, is building a house a good choice? Because I would have historically said, nah, I'm not doing that. I'll never do that. I definitely said that.
Yeah, you've always said that.
And then I did it, and I'm so glad we did it. But that won't be true for everybody. This is not a one-size-fits-all brokerage or team or radio show. So go listen to that one. If you're even tempted, especially if you're tempted to get a couple acres and build a house on it, go check out that podcast. The podcast is DFW Real Estate Weekly with Todd Tremonti, wherever you get podcasts. And the episode we're talking about there, number 2, is building a house a good choice? And then the third one is the question I've brought to the table that I ask all the time. Maybe that's why she ranked it in the top. How can I trust what my real estate agent says when they want me to sell a house? Don't you always want me to sell a house? Why wouldn't you want me to sell a house? When are you going to tell me not to sell a house? What do you think? Or buy one for that matter. That was fun. What little character was she just playing? She had a slightly different voice. She was playing herself. You think that was? You think that was? Yeah. It was like At Home Courtney. Yeah. That was cynical Courtney. Cynical Courtney. Cynical real estate Courtney. Yeah. That was kind of fun. That was not Full Price Courtney. That was a different one. That was one who's upset. I'm pissed. Now let me ask you this though: do you feel the same way about all salespeople? Because the air conditioning person comes to your house and they sell air conditioning repair. No. Every time someone, you know me, I talk about this all the time. You go scout daycares for your kid, and that's right. What do they sell? She does not scout them. She Googles most expensive daycare. That's right. Full price. She asks her friends who are the most lavish spenders. She says, "Are you the most expensive? Most luxurious. I will buy it. Could you take more of my money?" Okay, so fair question. My point is, amount of skepticism is totally appropriate. That episode is about, okay, realtors just always say now's a good time to buy and now's a good time to sell. So how can I trust an agent? And we're not going to answer that for you today. We answer it on the show all the time. But that podcast episode, there's some bonus content there that you don't get on the radio show. Go check that out or send it to a friend or go, speed it up, skim it and send it to a friend that might need it. Or especially a friend that's maybe having a terrible experience with an agent or that's previously had a bad experience or something like that. There is an answer to that question, by the way. Like, how do you know that you can trust an agent even though they are incentivized to sell you something? So go check out that episode. Again, the podcast is DFW Real Estate Weekly with Todd Tremonti, wherever you get podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Where else do people listen to podcasts? It's on YouTube. Apple. I said Apple. But you did? Yeah. Spotify, Apple, Amazon. I use Amazon more than most people, so I always say Amazon. I don't think that's as popular. I have Amazon Music. I really don't know what the less things. Yeah. We have Prime and all that, so just stick with it. Okay, folks, go check out the podcast. You don't want to miss some of this stuff. I mean, if you're listening right now, you're probably interested in real estate type stuff, and there's bonus content. Those were 3 of the most popular throughout 2025. You never know. We could drop one in the next couple of weeks that might race to the top of those charts, and you wouldn't know if you didn't go over there and just subscribe to the show. By the way, leave a review if you're happy with it at all. If you're happy with it a little, leave a review. And if you're not happy with it, you know what? No need to leave a review. That's fine. Just keep on moving. But we promised at the top of the half that we would talk about 5 reasons that for a lot of people, 2026 is going to be a great year to sell or buy. But before we do that, the first segment was, and always has been, brought to you by Patrick Glaros and his entire mortgage team. They truly are the best in the business. I had lunch with mutual friend of Patrick's and my last week, and we both just spent about 10 minutes bragging on, he's just the best in the business. I've used him for 20 plus years. And we, of course, have had clients use other lenders, or we've had situations where Patrick might have said, you should probably go ahead and use that other person, or here's someone else that could do that unique thing differently or better or whatever. And I've just never had anyone say, wow, this other person was way better. I've had so many people say, oh my gosh, I will never use anyone but Patrick ever again. Or that experience was incredible. They really explained things to me. I've gotten 5 mortgages before, and I never knew all this. Patrick and his team explained it to me for the first time. I didn't know I had that many options. Well, I didn't know that the absolute lowest rate, lowest cash to close is not always the best option for me. So Patrick and his team will educate you through the process. They'll help you understand that you have more options than most people think. And they'll help you make decisions on wealth building, preserving your cash, or reducing your payment, whatever your priorities are. They'll actually listen. PatrickGlaros.com, GLAROS. NMLS number 308804. Ooh, I blanked out there for a second. NMLS number 308804. Woo. Had to be, you don't want to get that wrong.
You did it. You got there.
Listen, Ian normally does it, and I did it, and I didn't do it as well.
I appreciate it.
PatrickGlaros.com, GLAROS. All right, folks, we did promise you the 5 reasons, and we're going to tell you those 5 reasons. Why 2026 could be a great time to buy or sell. Now, before we do it, I do want to say it should be. It's not like maybe if you're one of the rare few, it could be. We're only saying could because it would be inappropriate to say will. Obviously, there will be some people in some scenarios where, no, you should wait. You should hold your property, or you shouldn't buy yet, or you should buy but not sell yet, or whatever. But for the vast majority of people, these are the 5 reasons, statistically, historically, our expert knowledge, the momentum we're seeing in the market, the conversations we're having with buyers and sellers and lenders and appraisers and surveyors and banks and all these things tell us 2026 is going to be a very good year to both buy and sell, or to do either one. Number 1 reason, Ian, is that inventory is up. That tends to be an advantage for buyers. It's not necessarily a big disadvantage for sellers, but it's a bigger factor to the advantage, to the leverage, to the benefit of buyers, because it just gives you more choices. So let's just say in your neighborhood, there's 5 houses for sale and there's 4 buyers. Okay. So buyers have a ton of leverage because there's more houses than there are buyers. So the sellers are having to fight over the buyers. Okay. Now let's say there's 5 houses for sale and there's 10 buyers. Okay. Now the buyers have to fight over the homes, and the sellers have the advantage, the leverage, and the buyers have to compete, pay more, accept less help, all that kind of stuff, right? So right now we have not like an alarming number of homes on the market, but a higher number than we had in the crazy run and gun market where buyers were fighting. Buyers have the ability to be a little more patient, to be a little, negotiate a little more aggressively. There's more give and take in the market. Buyers do have choices. It's not like, I can only get one house. I just have to get the one I can get. You have the ability to go, well, if we don't get that one, we might get that one over there. Or, we like both of these houses. Let's go pursue the one where we think we could get the better deal. Or because of that inventory and because of the lower competition, you might literally just have some time to think, to sleep on a decision, to price out some repairs or whatever. You got something?
Well, we are at the highest level of inventory since the early 2000s. So, and the one article that we were looking at said that on average, a little over 5 months of inventory on average across DFW, and that's pretty significant.
Yeah, so that is true. Obviously, when we use averages like that doesn't apply to every neighborhood or every city, but on average across the Metroplex, we are in the full range of 5 months. There's some areas that are 4s, there's some areas that are low 6s. There's actually some areas that are like 17 months, but those are like little bitty pockets with unique price points. As a general rule, we've got about 5 months of inventory, which I have said for 23 plus years is what we call a stable market. When you get in that 4 to 6, 5 to 7 months of inventory in there, it's kind of a buyers and sellers have some give and take. Some houses take a while to sell. Some houses still sell really quickly. Some buyers get incredible deals. Some buyers get fair deals, and some buyers are still having to compete. That is where we are right now.
It takes being realistic on both sides.
For sure. And it takes having good guidance. It takes having realistic expectations of what you'll have to pay, but also what a seller will get, of what repairs are fair to ask for and what repairs are fair to give and offer, of those other peripheral elements in a contract, like a home warranty or who pays for the survey or where we close and when we close and who pays for prorated taxes and fees. All those things right now are a little bit more negotiable than they had been in our really, really long sustained sellers market, where inventory was in the 1s and 2s and 3s, which meant the sellers had a ton of leverage, had the negotiating authority and the power, and they were not doing repairs and not giving buyers time to think, and buyers were having to compete and pay more. So inventory is a really, really, really big factor, and it is up right now. Again, on average, it's up from the range where it was a clear seller's market. It's up to an area where most places it's kind of a balanced market. There are some places that are statistically what we would call a buyer's market, where there's 7 or 8 or 9 months of inventory, which means sellers are fighting over the buyers. There's not that many buyers. But there's also still some pockets where it's a clear seller's market, super desirable neighborhoods where there's just not a lot on the market. So inventory, big factor. That's number one. Number two is basically price stabilization, price cooling, price flattening, whatever you want to call that. There's a few areas where price definitely has dipped 2 or 3 or 4%, nothing crazy. There's some areas where prices are still rising 2 or 3 or 4%. And then there's a lot of areas that, generally speaking, you would just say feel kind of paused, feel kind of flat. Maybe that house over there is up a bit, this house is down a bit, but now you're getting into like, well, they redid their fence and they redid their kitchen. It's nuance, it's features, it's not market area movement. So that is true of almost all of DFW, where pricing has cooled. Either the rate of price increase has cooled, meaning it's still increasing but not as much, or it's kind of flattened, or at worst, it's dipped a little. There's some areas that dipped and have already come back a little, and there's some areas that dipped and are flattened 2, 3, 4% down. So that's a reality. Again, that's a great time to be a buyer. Would you rather prices be down 80%? You think you would, but what would probably be happening in the world and the economy to push prices down that much? You would not want, and you probably wouldn't buy a house in that market anyway. So we've talked a lot about buyers. We are going to talk a bit about sellers, but we promised the 5 reasons that 2026 for a lot of people will be a great time to sell and buy, or either one. Not everybody, but for a lot of people that have been waiting, that have been saving, that have been delaying, that have been trying to time and strategically get ready. I believe certainly between now and whatever you would call spring, summer market. In this regard, I'm talking about the stereotypical one. So I'm talking like mid-March and beyond. Before then, I think is going to be an excellent time to especially sell and buy, but either one. Okay. So, by the way, on pricing really quickly, almost all the national data trackers, NAR, the National Mortgage Associations, the big economic forecasters, the big real estate data centers, they're almost all saying they expect the number of real estate housing transactions to go up, meaning more homes will sell. And they are almost, not all, but almost all projecting home values will climb. Either climb again, the ones that stopped, or they'll climb a little bit more. So they are expecting more price increases. Okay, number 3, and we'll move a little quicker on this. Mortgage rates are expected to come down a bit. Nobody knows exactly when. Nobody knows exactly why or how. The predictions are that the Fed has already lowered rates once. Then they didn't do anything. They'll probably either, have already dropped or will drop again early next year. So we're probably looking at housing being a little more affordable, meaning the same income can get a little more house because the cost of borrowing will be down a bit. There's also expectations that the president will appoint a new Fed chair, and that he would probably only appoint one that is open to lowering rates as well. Now, the Fed lowers the Fed rate. Fed rates don't always drive mortgage rates, but it is expected that mortgage rates will be at least a little bit more affordable next year. Now, be cautious waiting until then, because likely that drives demand, that drives competition, which will drive up the cost of buying. But we do expect mortgage rates as a general rule to be more attractive throughout and towards the end of 2026. Number 4, population growth and job growth in DFW. We continue to have corporate headquarters move here. We continue to have big companies here hire and grow. Some of them are consolidating from other parts of the country, and some of them are truly investing in growth of employees, growth of campuses, growth of location. So we think that will drive to serve both sellers and buyers. The need for more housing, which would potentially bring inventory back down. The demand on housing, which is good for sellers, not as good for buyers, and just the overall health of our local economy, which is good for buyers and sellers and renters, to be honest. And then number 5, we talked about the balanced market earlier, but it gives more flexibility. So I have had in my entire 24-ish year career, 25 if you count some flipping and things, almost never had a balanced market. I have lived through 2007, 8, 9, where it was like people thought in Dallas it wasn't catastrophic, but it nationally felt catastrophic, where buyers had tons of leverage and sellers were in like complete desperation mode. That recovered pretty quickly. There wasn't much balance when the pendulum swung back. We definitely had some more stable years, but it swung pretty hard to a seller's market for a long period. Like most of that 2010 to 2019 period. And then we started stabilizing, and then COVID just shot us into this extreme dramatic seller's market. Okay. So it feels right now like we're in that 2019-ish period where, like we said, a little bit of give and take. Buyers can get a fair deal. Sellers can get a fair deal. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe it sells in 2 days. There's just a little more stabilization. And because of that, there's more flexibility. A seller doesn't have to feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't sell now, I may never sell. And a buyer doesn't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't get one. I'll have to wait till next spring. No. There's options. Take a deep breath. You might be able to find someone that would finance that for you. You might be able to find an assumable loan. You might be able to find a house that has the features you want. You might be able to wait a month and then start shopping. So that flexibility is good for everybody. I know that was a lot of detail, but we promised 5 reasons. And to Courtney's point, we don't want to tell you next year is going to be a great time to buy and sell. Have a good one. We're out, and just give you realtor speak. We want to give you reasons, and those are our reasons that it could. I'm cautious with that word because there are some people that next year won't be a great time for you. But if you want to figure out for sure if specifically for you next year's the right time, all you have to do is call or text us 214-310-0008. Call or text 214-310-0008, and we'll set you up with what we call a free strategy session. You can, at a minimum, talk with Ian or one of our team members for 10 or 15 minutes and figure out what you need. And then we'll get you face-to-face with one of our full-time, world-class, fully dedicated specialists who work with sellers or a specialist who works with buyers, maybe one of each. And just think through your goals. Are you ready for a remodel? Do you need to protest your property taxes? Are you thinking about buying a home this year, a second home, downsizing, upsizing, adding on? Do you need to sell a property? Do you need to do both? Do you just need the name of a good vendor, but you'd like to talk through the project you're thinking about doing? We are offering as our holiday, Christmas, annual 2025 gift to you in January to sit down one afternoon in January. We'll buy you a cup of coffee or Topo Chico or whatever, and just talk about your goals and answer your questions so you can sleep a little bit better at night knowing that you actually have a strategy and a game plan. Just call or text 214-310-0008, and we here at the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team will get you taken care of. Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about the number 1 under-the-radar barbecue joint in all of DFW. And why does that matter? Because if I was you, I would want to live near this place. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, party people. Welcome back. Before the break, man, did I tease this segment on my number 1 under-the-radar barbecue joint in all of DFW. And if you like food the way I do, and you're even remotely thinking about a move, go ahead and put Wiley, Texas on your possibilities list. But before we dive into that, first segment is always brought to you by Patrick Glaros and his mortgage team. Just the best in the business. If you're thinking about refinancing, purchasing an investment property, second, third, fourth, or 10th, or you're looking at a commercial purchase or anything related to lending, Patrick is my first call. He probably ought to be your first call. And the easiest way to track him down is online, patrickglaros.com, Glaros, patrickglaros.com. I also wanted to say that I think the next 60 days are very likely to be the best time to get into real estate sales in the last 3.5 years.
Wait, tell me why.
I will tell you why, but I'm going to tell you why later after I tell you about this incredible barbecue. Which one do you want to do first? Well, you lead.
No, get into the barbecue. I'm just excited to hear.
Listen, I already told you where it is. And if you didn't already like Wiley, Texas, man, is there a lot to like about Wiley, Texas. But if you like barbecue, and if you're like me, and when other people say the most well-known, the most celebrated barbecue places, and look, I like all of those, but you're like, yeah, I got a better one. If you're like me and you like to have a better one, you like one in your back pocket that not everybody knows about, I'm about to ruin mine and tell you. Linky's Barbecue, just off Ballard Street, downtown Wiley, probably can seat 25 people max.
No way.
Is about, I think it's the best barbecue in DFW. And it's affordable. You can get a barbecue sandwich for like $10. And nowhere else that I'm aware of in DFW can you get a range ball. And a range ball is a hard-boiled egg wrapped in pork's breakfast sausage, wrapped in bacon, grilled, and then drenched in the drippings from smoked racks of ribs. Did you catch all that? It's, if you've ever been on a low carb,
sounds like the state fair
carnivore diet, it's like a carnivore hand grenade in the best possible way. Like that's your meal. Now I get it as a side because I'm a glutton when I go there.
Sure.
I'll ask for forgiveness later. But Linky's Barbecue, Wiley, Texas. Now their sliced brisket, and when I order sliced brisket, no matter where I am, but especially at Linky's, I say, look, give me the fattiest piece of sliced brisket you can because that's where all the flavor is. And I believe that fat is good for your brain. Eat Fat to Lose Fat. It's a good book, by the way. But Linky's smoked sliced brisket, I think, is hands down the best in DFW.
Can I tell you what the range ball is in like England? It's a
golf course?
Bacon wrapped Scotch egg.
Well, maybe that's where it came from. It's pretty close to that.
It is.
Except for this has the breakfast sausage and the dripping.
I looked it up and they said that they took the Scotch egg and they wanted to barbecue.
Texasized it. Well done, Linky's Barbecue. By the way, locally owned, family owned. When you go in, usually the guy cutting the brisket is the owner, and then his dad is down at the register, and they're the nicest people on the planet. They owned a business.
Those are my favorite kind of
completely different. They owned a business in a completely different industry, sold it years ago, and I think this is like the passion project for them, which is why it's affordable. They're super engaging, and it's incredible. One more thing about why it's great and just the food itself. Their link sausage is excellent, but they're out of it about half the time. And the reason is it's so good that when they have it, people come in and just order it like crazy. And they process their own sausage from their ranch in South Texas where they harvest the hogs. It's so good. I want to go there so bad right now.
I like when you order that for us.
I may have to. Yeah, we've catered it for company lunches at the office, at my house. I take the family over there. I take friends over there. When our church got a new pastor, that's the first place I took him. Linky's Barbecue, Wiley, Texas. Just one more reason to love Wiley, Texas, and that downtown Wiley area. But also, if you're a food lover, you're a barbecue person, I kid you not. I do live and would want to live within 20 minutes of this place. It's just the way it is. We've catered the football team pregame meal from there, and they were just rage monsters. It was tackling fuel. They came out and just crushed. They dominated. It was glorious.
This is the stuff that makes a home and a small town just so special. Like,
I agree. And I think Wiley is one of our last, like, real small town that still feels small town. If you want it to feel bigger, you can go buy a home in one of their more master planned communities, but you can still buy on a couple acres that feels like you got your own thing going on. Go into town, go to the feed store, go downtown, and by all means, stop at Linky's and just fill your gullet with delicious Barbecue, Linky's Barbecue. By the way, they're not a sponsor in any way. I just love it that much. So go check that out. Now, I also want to make sure that we do talk about where you can buy homes on land. But I already promised something. We got so much to cover. I already promised why the next 60 days may be the best time to get into real estate sales in the next 3 years. But first, we are, in fact, in the Trinity Home Advisors Home Warranty Studio. And I want to make sure you know why. Because they do home warranty right. Now, most people hate home warranties, and I don't even blame most people because most home warranty companies suck. They're just real bad. And they want to sell you a warranty, and they don't want to honor the claim. Where Trinity, I was going to say whereas or why, where Trinity wants to honor the claim, they also don't want you to need to file a claim. So they have an automated AI-assisted process, supported by humans, by the way. It's not like there's no people over there, that will help you maintain your home appropriately. They actually have a 90-minute challenge. Basically, if you'll spend 90 minutes a year, you will avoid, I think it's the 10 most common failure points or mistakes in the typical home. So if you'll spend 90 minutes a year, they'll basically honor every single claim that you have. I say basically, I'm sure there are rare exceptions, but they're rare. They have a different financial model, meaning that they hold more cash to honor more claims than the typical warranty company. And they also help you maintain your home so that nothing breaks. And if it breaks, it's not due to your failure to maintain it, which is the number one reason other home warranty companies don't honor claims. They'll say, well, you didn't maintain that. You didn't change the filter. You didn't clean that out. You didn't do the maintenance. So they'll help you do the maintenance. That way, if something goes wrong, they are going to cover that issue. TrinityHomeAdvisors.com. TrinityHomeAdvisors.com. So you can get your hands on a Trinity Home Advisors home warranty. Sleep a little bit better at night knowing that your home is taken care of. And if something goes wrong, you make one phone call. They handle the rest. TrinityHomeAdvisors.com. How about that? Okay, we've teased a lot of things. It's time to deliver. The next 60 days is basically the very end and the very beginning of the year, which is normally the lowest overall real estate activity time of the year. Historically, people want to get into real estate like spring, summer, because they believe that's when all the home sales are. But Ian, do homes sell in the fall and the winter?
They sure do, Todd.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And
even I know that.
If you were getting into real estate, Ian, would you be ready to have a robust pipeline and sell a ton of houses on your first day?
I would not.
No, you would not. And would getting into the business in, say, January be a good time in order for you to be trained and equipped and prepared to then maybe be ready by that stereotypical high season?
It feels like it might be the most ideal of times.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm with you. I believe that it is, in fact, the most ideal of times. Now, the last 3 years or so, Ian, your favorite time in real estate or not?
Not my favorite time.
Not your favorite, yeah. In the industry as a whole, take it or leave it on the last 3 years in the industry.
We would probably leave most of it.
Most of the industry would leave most of it. So what I'm saying, Courtney, is if you look at the last 3 years, I have said it's a good time to get into real estate, only if you are committed to being a full-time world-class agent. And we've had agents join our team in the last few years and do really well. And 2025 has been the career best year for several of our agents. So it's possible. But what I'm telling you is it is probable, it is highly likely that if you were to get into the business in the first part of 2026, by all means with our team, especially because we're going to train you, equip you, resource you, leads, radio, TV, all that good stuff. And we are looking for 2 or 3 new people. You should be able to be up to speed, especially if you're not working alone, and take full advantage of the busiest time of the year, which, whether we like it or not, is still spring, summer, and parts of the early fall. So I think, looking back on the last 3 years, we expect, for all the 5 reasons we gave earlier, a bit of a better market next year, a little bit more optimism, more transactions, some price growth, some lower mortgage rates, so a little bit of pressure on inventory. We expect it to be a better year. We expect it to be a more opportune time for agents. And there's a lot of agents that have left the business or sat on the sidelines over the last 3 years. So someone who gets into the real estate industry, gets a license, activates a license, or gets serious, has some real opportunity, less competition from other agents, more transactions, and an uptick in optimism and activity in the market. And we at the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team are looking for 2 or 3 new people between our main Richardson office and our Fort Worth side of our team as well. And you can call and inquire about that at 214-310-0008, or you could just go to the website, toddtremontiteam.com. If you forget any of that, just Google my name, Todd Tremonti. Spell it the best way you can. You can find us. Call, text, chat, whatever you like. And we would be honored to talk to you about whether our team is a fit. And if our team's not a fit, we'll try to help you find a team, a brokerage, a setup that is good for you. But I think the next 60 days, the very end and very beginning of the year, will be the best time to start a career. Or let's say you got a license a year ago, but you hadn't really been all in. The best time to go all in on a full-time real estate career in at least the last 3 years. We would love to talk to you or a friend about joining the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team. 214-310-0008. That's 214-310-0008. Now, Ian.
Yes.
As you know, our team specializes in really 2 primary things. We have agents with all sorts of giftedness, but we specialize in 2 main things. Desirable neighborhoods in DFW, those neighborhoods where you really want to live and you're proud to live. And then also homes on land. We usually say 1 to 5 acres, but we just mean big backyards, not farm and ranch, not normal neighborhoods. And we really, really focus on about 15 key areas. And the reason we focus on those areas is because we think those are the best, most active, most favorable areas to buy homes on land. We get this question all the time, especially in YouTube comments from out-of-state people. Where can people find what we sell? And I would love it if you would share some or all, whatever, your favorites, the ones that we talk to people the most about. What are those areas where you can buy acreage property in DFW still?
Yeah, I think on the Fort Worth side of things, you're looking at places like Lido, really popular. There's lots of some lakes over on that side of town, and
some good golf. And if you like high school football, man.
Yeah, I live close to Fairview. You can get, some really nice properties up there towards Fairview. Obviously, Parker has a lot of 1 to 2
almost
acre,
exclusively. Yeah.
So there's so many places. I mean, like we said, we've got 15 of them here. Yeah, you can get Fort Worth, Dallas, places like that, but you're getting into more of like I would say smaller communities where you're going to find a little bit more of that. You can still find places like that though in Rockwall, McKinney that have tons of stuff, but yeah, it's going to be in a lot of those little smaller, less densely populated areas.
Yeah, and some of my favorite homes on land is what I generally call it. Properties are the ones that used to be the outer lying edge, but really are like they have it all now. So Wiley used to be way on the edge, right? Like Benbrook used to be way on the edge. McKinney used to be like the northern edge of the Metroplex. Grapevine used to feel that way. Honestly, Aledo still has a little gap between like primary Fort Worth and Aledo, but Weatherford's blowing up and doesn't feel that far out now with the way the highways have grown and commercialism has grown up. And you may not like the commercial development, but for all the things that most of our lives demand or we want, the best of both world markets are some of our favorites. And a lot of those, other than Dallas and Fort Worth, main primary is Aledo, Lucas, Burleson, Salina. You already said Rockwall, Fairview, McKinney, Nevada. A lot of people, by the way, not Nevada, Nevada, east of Wiley, out by Lake Lavon Lake. Parker, you already mentioned, where almost every single property is 2 acres or more. Prosper, again, beyond what we used to think was the northern edge, but there's way more to the north of that. Got an absolute, we're going to have Universal Studios there. Crowley, Wiley, Saxe, Murphy, and a lot of other really great cities. I will say this real quick, and then we'll go to Ian. But some of my favorites, like I said, are in those areas that used to be outer lying, but they're kind of like second ring of 3 or 4 rings now. But I would say, in addition to that, some of my all-time favorites are just the really big lots in the main communities. Like you're in Dallas and you're in an area where like most of the lots are a 1/4 acre, and then there's the 1 or 2 properties that have a full acre. Like those are incredible. Like you get all of it. You get to be in town, in the thick of it, right by everything, and also have a massive backyard. or the 2 or 3 acre properties that are like hidden in little pockets of Richardson or Plano or even Allen. You get over like in the River District in Fort Worth where there's just not a lot of land to spare, but there's still some big pie-shaped corner cul-de-sac, kind of, it's like they're holdovers from an older time where there's like a 1960s built ranch style house, but it's on 1.5 acres or 2.5 or 4 acres. And you're like, man, that land value is incredible, but they're still living a typical suburban life. They're just doing it in town. So we specialize in those big backyard properties, really no matter where they are. Now we draw the line when you get like, an hour and a half outside of town, we'll refer you to somebody else. But there's a lot of uniqueness to those acreage properties that our team brings when it comes to understanding a well or well water, alternate power sources, different fencing, access, what we call ingress, egress, different, whether it's septic or city sewer, whether you have regular trash pickup, are you in the city, are you in the county, what's the school district boundary lines? There's a lot of differences there to the typical neighborhood home or the typical realtor, what they're used to. But then when it comes to the most desirable neighborhoods, they're not all the same. So an agent that just kind of sells all homes the same or helps all buyers the same, but doesn't have a different approach to Frisco that they would to Cedar Hill, that's dangerous. And so that's what we mean when we say we specialize. But those are a bunch of those cities. A lot more I want to share, but Ian's got a thought on his mind.
One thing that's interesting is that a lot of people that reach out to us in those areas, they moved to those places because they wanted the freedom and they wanted no neighbors and they wanted all this stuff. And now they're realizing, they're getting built up so much. It's like now they're wanting to move. And so there's opportunities there for buyers. There's great opportunities for sellers too, and we can help both sides of that. But that is interesting that a lot of those people moved there because of the space, and now that's it's changing a little
most of us have experienced this either where we live or somewhere that we go. You go to a kid's sporting event or you go up to the Star in Frisco or whatever, you're like, oh my gosh, there used to be some gaps and now it's all filled in. Or there used to be a parking lot right there, whatever. That's just the path of progress. That's life. But to your point, my favorite, if I'm just being brutally honest right now, because I love the homes on land world, is when someone calls us and says, hey, I've got a home on land that I need to sell and I want to buy another one. So, maybe I'm in Wiley, but I want to go out to Nevada, or, we're in West Fort Worth, but we want to go out to Aledo, or I'm in East McKinney, which used to be a lot of that, a little bit sleepier. It's gotten kind of built up and busy, and there's an airport coming in. Now I want to go out to Farmersville, or I want to go up to Salina, or further. And I get really excited about that because we get to deal in our specialty area on both sides. And we get a family that's been living that unique homes on land life. And now they're getting to kind of perfect it or reiterate another one. Because most people, once they find their acreage property, they're not going anywhere. That is or was their dream. We do see that happen generationally. Like if you don't have that next generation wanting to enjoy it, people tend to downsize to a little bit less maintenance or whatever. But the same thing happens in desirable neighborhood homes. And that's when we see people say, okay, we're ready to get back into the neighborhood. Or we're ready to get back into town and experience walkability or the arts or whatever the case is. But I love it when somebody says what Ian just said, which is like, hey, we've really enjoyed living here. It's just grown up a little bit more than we want. So we want to go set the clock back 20 years of development and get another one that is like this one was when we moved here. And of course, we can help you with that. We love to help you with that. No one in DFW can help you better with desirable neighborhood properties and homes on small acreage lots. We call them big backyard properties, and you can define desirable however you want when it comes to desirable neighborhoods, but it's not just like the necessity house. It's the house you're excited about, that you can't wait for your family to visit, your friends to visit, that you've wanted to live in there for the schools or the trees or the houses or the parks or the location to work or whatever the case is. And those are the two things we do the most of. Of course, we can do other things, and we do, but those are the things we specialize in. And by the way, we are looking for other people to join us, 2 or 3 people to join our company at the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team, help us grow and help us sell and become even better, more expertise added to the team for small acreage properties and desirable DFW neighborhood homes. Now, no matter when you're buying or selling in the state of Texas, there's very likely to be a title company involved that's going to transfer that title legally with the county and all the required taxing and payments and escrows and things like that. It matters who is your title company. And Republic Title is as good as it gets. They are my personal favorite title company. I would not want to buy, sell, refinance, transfer title in any way without using Republic Title. And that's not an exaggeration. I own the brokerage. We do hundreds of transactions every year. And I do not like it when I see a contract with a different title company's name on it, because we know the likelihood of mistakes, delays, poor communication, rudeness is going to go up like 10x, like 10 times as likely. Or better said, Republic Title is 10 times more likely to create a positive, desirable outcome where either the clients loved the title company, or most of the time, the clients don't even think about the title company very much because they do their job. They sit in the background and they don't make a big deal out of that, which can often be a big deal. So republictitle.com is where you can go check them out. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, whether you're working with the Todd Tremonti home selling team, or you already have a full-time, fully dedicated, world-class agent or team or brokerage with a track record of success and that will guarantee it for you. If you already have that, tell them about Republic Title when you go to buy, sell, or transfer property, and they can help you make sure you're working with Republic Title, or at least giving them a really, really good look. RepublicTitle.com also has a bunch of great resources to estimate closing costs and taxes and things like that. So check that out, RepublicTitle.com. If you're even remotely thinking about buying, selling, or investing in residential real estate, or doing a remodel, or you need a vendor for a repair, or you might want to protest your property taxes, or you might want a really deep dive valuation of your property, or you're thinking about turning it into a rental or buying a rental, we're offering you as a Merry Christmas, Happy 2026 gift, we are offering you 30 to 90 minutes of a deep dive experts time. One of our full-time agents will sit down with you face-to-face for 30 to 90 minutes and buy you a cup of coffee or a Coke or a Topo Chico, whatever you like, and answer all your questions and just set you at ease, give you a backstage pass to the MLS and let you see what's selling and for how much and what's available and where is it and how fast is the market moving. And if you want to sell when the kids graduate, let's put together a 2-year plan. If you want to buy a rental property every year for the next 5 years, we'll put together a plan. If you want to sell but not until you can maximize your equity, well, let's put together a plan of when that might be. We're fine if it's 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years. We've been here 20 years this year. We'll be here another 20 years. But we are offering you a free strategy session with one of the full-time agents on the Todd Tremonti home selling team to answer your questions and put a plan together so you can sleep well at night knowing exactly what your real estate goals look like, what your plan looks like, when the timing would be ideal, and knowing that you have a full-time advocate on your side. You can request that by just texting the word strategy to 214-310-0008. Just text strategy to 214-310-0008, or you can call 214-310-0008, or just find us online at
ToddTremontiTeam.com.
And if all else fails, just Google Todd Tremonti, spell it however you want, and you can see over 800 5-star reviews, more reviews than any other real estate team in DFW. We'll talk to you then.